Good afternoon. Thank you for watching our Westminster Canterbury Weekly for Thursday, September 16th. Today, I have a couple of updates for you. Then you'll hear from our Vice President of Facilities Management, Jason Collins, Manager of Security, Glendon Kemp, and then Chaplain David Curtis. Let me give you a quick update on the coronavirus situation. Our positivity rate that gets reported by the Centers for Disease Control currently has the Henrico County area at 9.8%, 9.87%, which is down a little from where it's been. That's positive, but it still remains at a very high level of transmission and means we need to take a lot of care to be careful out in the community. You received a memo late last week regarding a fully vaccinated nurse that works in the Mary Morton Parsons Health Center who tested positive for COVID-19 after being exposed to a child in her home who had tested positive. Because she had worked during that exposure period, her being a positive case is considered by the Department of Health to be an outbreak. So what that means is that unfortunately residents that live in the Parsons Health Center on the third floor, both the west and the east halls, will be in quarantine until Thursday, September 23rd. It's unfortunate, but it is a requirement from the Virginia Department of Health, and we want to make sure everybody stays safe. All residents and staff in Parsons Health Center have been tested and will continue to be tested every 3 to 7 days during that quarantine period. Thankfully, no one has tested positive since because of that, so that's really good news that we haven't had any more exposures. Visitors to Parsons Health Center's third floor on that west and east hallway, they will be required to wear personal protective equipment during the quarantine period. So thankfully, the residents that are in quarantine can still have visitors. We just need those visitors to wear the appropriate protective equipment. And that, again, ends September 23rd. You may recall that last week I shared that we had a community admission into the Parsons Health Center test positive after a hospitalization and before coming here. The patient came here, had tested negative coming here, and was tested a couple times during the first few days and tested negative, but remained in quarantine during that period since admission, then tested positive after a period of days. So we're thankful that this resident had stayed in quarantine, or we had maintained quarantine, and since testing positive has been in quarantine all along. Because of that, the risks of exposure to others on the floor is very low, and that is not considered an outbreak because the resident patient was got the virus at the hospital, so that's a different situation. This resident that the one that was admitted from the hospital is doing very well and has received the monoclonal antibody treatment that you're probably hearing about on the news. We administered that here at Westminster Canterbury. And I think we've done that a couple of times now with residents that have either been exposed or tested positive, and everyone's had good results from getting those antibody treatments. And so that's good news. This patient that came to us will be completing his quarantine tomorrow. So that's good news, and he's doing well. Also this week, we learned that both a third floor tower resident and a fifth floor tower resident tested positive for COVID-19. Both were vaccinated. These two cases are unrelated. One of them was the result of being exposed to a family member who tested positive while away on travel. The other case, we're not sure where the exposure happened. But everyone here on campus who might have been exposed to either of these two has been contacted by the clinic and has been tested, and all those results have come back negative, which is really, really good news. And the residents that tested positive are doing well too, so that's really good news. Currently, we have 4 employees that are out after testing positive, and the three residents that I mentioned. All are recovering, and all are doing pretty well, so that's good news. We're still waiting for more information on the booster shots. You've probably seen on the news that the FDA will be deciding tomorrow, Friday, what the protocol is going to be for booster shots. We're hopeful that they're going to give us the green light and give the pharmacies green light to approve that, but we don't know. There's a bit of a debate. You're probably seeing that in the news. Our teams are working to make sure we secure the doses required to administer boosters for both all the residents and our workforce. So we've got a couple of teams working on that, and we're hopeful that when the time comes, we will be ready, and we'll share those details as soon as we have them. Please remind your visitors when they come on campus that they should really only visit one household at a time. We've had a couple of occasions where somebody's come in, visited with folks in Parsons, and then gone off to visit with other people, and we really don't want that to happen. We are asking that people visit just one household per visit to our community. And visitors are encouraged to be vaccinated, so please ask your family or friends if they're coming here to go ahead and get vaccinated and keep us all safe. And please let them know they are going to be required to wear a mask when they're in any of the public areas, just the same as staff are required. So thank you for that. Now for a couple updates on vibrancy in the promenade construction. For the promenade renovation, this week, I know residents on the second and third floor in the tower are aware. We've begun demolition of the existing concrete plaza that was outside the promenade. Thankfully, it's not necessary to jackhammer it. They're able to break it up in big pieces and take it out, but it is loud. We acknowledge that there will be times when that work over the next few days is loud. And in addition, they are beginning to work inside to lay out the walls and the framing. And so there is some drilling happening on the underside of the second floor, which is the ceiling of the promenade. There is some drilling and hammer nailing happening there, and there will be some intermittent noise. And I was just on the second floor. It is, from time to time, it is pretty loud, depending on where they're working. So I apologize for that noise. Please appreciate your patience and tolerance. And if you'd like a quiet place to be during the day if it's loud under your department, please let resident services know. We have some spots where we can help you find some peace and some quiet during the day. And starting next week, that noise is going to be a little more prevalent. You're going to hear it as they begin to lay out the walls within the promenade. You're going to hear some drilling and some hammer nailing, both in the apartments on second floor and in the tower lobby. It's going to be a little louder. We're starting to hear it today, tomorrow, and then into next week. The construction team is very aware of the noise concerns, keeping that noise waiting until 9 a.m. before the big noise starts, and trying to end that by 4:30. You may still hear it a little bit, but the big noise, we won't be doing that during the early morning. And they're doing things like making sure they use using a misting system to keep the dust down. They're going to be doing some cushioning of the ceiling below the second floor to try to minimize the rattling and some of that noise conveyance through the building. So you're going to hear it, and I acknowledge that, but we're going to do everything we can, and we've asked the team to do what they can to make sure it's minimized as much as it can be. For the parking deck work, beginning Monday, September 20th, you're going to begin to see the installation of the Underground Piers. So it's going to look like a big drill, the big drill machine that's going to come in. It take a couple days to get set up, and then they're going to be drilling some big holes to set up some foundation piers. We're told it won't be loud. When I say that, you will hear it perhaps if you're out there, but it isn't going to be super loud, and you shouldn't feel it. It's not a big vibration instrument. So, but that work will happen. It'll take a few weeks to get those piers set. So look for that. And if you want to watch the progress for that, you can find a construction camera available on the Touchdown Community app under the Vibrancy tab, and you can hit that, wait a few minutes, and then you'll see the camera load, and you can watch those guys do what they do. Changing gears a little bit, we know we've heard from a number of you've heard about a lot of meetings happening and activity as it relates to strategic planning. Many of you already know, but we have started our next round, or our 2021 round of strategic planning for both the foundation and the corporation. That work began back in June. The way we've set out, we have established 9 different work groups that are diving into a whole variety of topics that are important to senior living, to long-term care, to organizations and communities like ours, and important for us to consider as we look at the future. Each work group includes staff members, members of both of our boards, the corporate board and the foundation board, and residents. I think we have about 22 or 23 residents on these different committees, and a whole bunch of trustees and then staff. Each of the 9 work groups has met multiple times over the last 2.5 months. Everyone who's been involved has been invited to participate in a number of educational events that we've hosted. We've had 10 education sessions taught by a number of sort of thought leaders and industry experts, helping us understand what's happening in our industry outside the gates of Westminster Canterbury. The 9 groups have been looking into the areas of growth, workforce and staffing issues, healthcare and wellness, resident life and culture, sustainability, foundation mission, fellowship, communication, and governance. All big topics, a lot of information under each of those topics, and it's been very interesting. And the educations that we've hosted have been outstanding. And we've recorded all of them, so we have them. And perhaps if there's interest, we can show some of those to groups if they're interested. Soon, at the end of the month here, at the end of September, we'll be entering into the next phase where we'll be discussing everything we've learned over the last 2.5 months and then taking the conversations further and working on coming up with what should be included in our plans and what sort of big decisions do we need to make. Very grateful to the many different residents who've agreed to participate, share their insights openly, and really contribute in huge ways to the conversation. It's been a fabulous experience, and we've learned a lot about that. The management team and board has learned a lot about the experience from this experience, so I want to thank everybody for that. As soon as we have more information and something more to share, I'll be happy to share that with you. Couple of quick things before I finish. As it relates to the bank, the BB&T Bank here on campus, our on-site BB&T branch will be closed next Wednesday. They have some work they have to do in there, so they are going to stay closed next Wednesday. We have more information for you next week. I think they'll be reopened the following week, but for next week, which is I think September 22nd or 3rd, whatever that is, 22nd, they'll be closed. So today's airing of this program, the Westminster Canterbury Weekly, is airing live on TV 970. You're watching that. It typically replays on 971 at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. daily. This week, however, the replays for this program will not be airing until Tuesday, September 21st. So I appreciate your understanding and patience with that. You may read the written summary on Touchdown or find it on our blog at www.wcrichmond.org. That'll be out there later this afternoon. And as always, so thank you for that. And if folks are wondering why, please share. If you saw this now and someone's looking for the replay, let them know. It'll be available next week, but it won't be out there later today or tomorrow. Lastly, for me, we're always pleased to have the opportunity to recognize all of our dedicated employees, and every area on campus has different times when we celebrate specific work groups. This week, we're celebrating our environmental services team, our engineering team, our housekeeping team, and our security teams are all being celebrated this week with a number of different events, and I want to take the opportunity to thank all of them for their hard work and dedication and for their friendship, because they're all wonderful co-workers, and we're thankful to have them here. Jason, Collins, and Glenn are up next, and they're going to tell you more about the festivities that they've got for their staffs this week. So let me turn it over to Jason.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon, residents. This week we're recognizing and celebrating Environmental Services Week. We appreciate our teams from housekeeping, laundry, community choice, engineering, and materials management, all they do for us each and every day. These teams are being recognized in different ways each day this week. These include a waffle breakfast, a lunch, our world-famous ice cream buffet, which I just got back from, and other little goodies as we continue to recognize and appreciate our amazing staff all week. We hope this small gesture will show our appreciation for their extra hard work, especially during these very trying times. We also handed out new face coverings to promote continued safety protocols during COVID. You may also notice that we've added some pictures of our teams that have been broadcast over TV 971 and the digital media and signage throughout the campus. If you bribe the right person, you may even get to see video of me and Naomi dancing to the chicken dance in Cochrane Commons. That's a sight. A couple of data points that give a unique perspective to show you the volume of our daily work. Normally on a non-COVID year, our event setups, we conduct over 2,200 event setups. Our engineering work orders actual for this last 12 months were 24,000 work orders completed. Housekeeping was 2,800 work orders. This is an amazing statistic. We laundered over 470,000 pounds of laundry and washed it. Last but not least, we conduct over 170 renovations and refurbishments in independent and assisted living each year. So once again, please join me in thanking one of your support staff members from housekeeping, community choice, laundry, engineering, and materials management for the wonderful contributions they make each and every day to bring you, the residents, the services and conditions you expect and appreciate. Thank you, and next up is Glenn Kemp.
Thank you, Jason, and good afternoon. This also happens to be National Security Officers Week, and I'm here today to recognize the huge efforts of the security team, which I am so proud to represent. To my team, thank you for not only keeping our residents safe and protected, but also doing it with grace and the highest level of professionalism. To demonstrate some of the efforts of the team, I have a few facts to share with you. So throughout the year, we perform over 40 fire drills. We install over 200 security locks. We perform almost 400 welfare checks every year. We coordinate EMT about 170 times, so every time 911 is called, an emergency response comes out, about 170 times per year. This is just a short list of some of the functions we provide. We also make hundreds of keys, badges, passes every year, and vet thousands of visitors that come through our gates. I would be remiss if I didn't mention screening. I want to thank all the screeners for their long hours of dedication. To this point, we have screened almost 250,000 staff, visitors, contractors since the pandemic began. Again, to my team, thank you for everything that you do. Up next is David Curtis.
Good afternoon. I'm David Curtis, one of the staff chaplains here at Westminster Canterbury. And to our residents, friends, and family who are observing Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, may you be sealed in the book of life. Westminster Canterbury is a community of and at prayer. Whether together or individually, this community, it seems, is almost always in prayer at some time. Please join us this Sunday at 4 p.m. in the sanctuary for our devotions, led by Reverend Deacon Barbara Ambrose from St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. You are also welcome to join us next Thursday, September the 23rd at 10:30 a.m., when the Reverend Steve Schlossberg from St. Matthew's Episcopal Church will be with us for worship and communion. And you are welcome to join us for evening prayer every Monday through Friday at 4:45 p.m. in the Montague Chapel. All of these services are also broadcast on TV 970. When we do gather for worship, masks are currently not required. However, we do recommend you consider masking during worship and singing to help keep everyone safe. Our scripture today is Philippians 4:6. Paul writes, "Do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I don't know about you, but I do worry from time to time. I worry about my future. I worry about my retirement, my family, my friends. And there are times when I worry about some of you as you all face changes, both good and challenging. But as my grandmother would remind me, worrying about something never changed anything. She would tell me to trust God and to help others, and to remember that the rest of it was not my concern. To be honest, most days I do that. I trust God, I help others, and I don't worry too much. And then there are those days when I want to be the co-director of the universe with God. And those days tend not to be my best days. So today and tomorrow and the day after that, perhaps if any of us worry, we can turn to God with prayers and with supplications, and after that we can help others. Even if helping others is just a kind word or a smile or a refrain from judgment. I offer this poem written by Father Francis Dorff entitled Lightening the Load. The first thing we have to do is to notice that we've loaded down this camel with so much baggage, we'll never get through the desert alive. Something has to go. Then we can begin to dump the 1,000 things we've brought along until even the camel has to go, and we're walking barefoot on the desert sand. There's no telling what will happen then, but I've heard that someone walking in this way has seen a burning bush. Thank you for joining us today, and please join us next Thursday at 3 p.m. for Westminster Canterbury Weekly.